turn that down or off. Hi guys, we are here. I have Kelli. Yay. I am so excited and I'm so thankful. I think I was chatting with you doing some market research or something, and then I'm like, hey, wait a minute. We need to hear from her. We totally hear from her. So she so graciously decided that she would have a little discussion with us. So I'm really excited to hear what you have to say. I know that I set my company up as a LLC. So I'm very curious about all of whatever you have to say to see if maybe I've already messed something up or
No.
So you take it away. Tell us everything we need to know.
I think it's good that you're already set up as an LLC. I think it really is something that each individual person should speak with either a lawyer or a finance person that does this kind of thing to talk about their individual business and whether or not they should be a sole proprietor or an LLC or a corporation, because it's really going to depend on different factors. So, the worst thing is when like people go in a Facebook group and they're like, oh, should I be an LLC or not? And people are like, no, don't bother, without even knowing what kind of
Yeah.
business they are, because it can totally depend. Because if you're a type of business that is going to have more liability, like for instance, me as a lawyer, like I have more liability, I'm going to want to not be practicing as a sole proprietor. And anyone like in, the financial industry and certain other industries, you're going to also not want to be practicing as a sole proprietor. Even at like some levels of coaching, as far as the liability goes, you would want to think about eventually not being a sole proprietor, but also just for the other reasons of like tax purposes and, you know, for especially like also if you're a business that has like stores or needs investors, you're probably going to have to not be a sole proprietor.
Yeah.
Most likely an actual corporation, but sometimes maybe just an LLC also. But so really, you have to like do your research into figuring it out and decide kind of what type of tax and liability purpose you want and need. And an LLC is kind of like a mix between being a corporation or a sole proprietor. So it's kind of like a middle ground. And I think that's probably why most people, when they form an entity, they use the LLC. Also because only one taxes, whereas, a corporation, you have to file for yourself and your business. And LLC
Yes.
is a little bit easier as far as that. So yeah, it's definitely very individual.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I should be consulting with you instead of just going on my, like, I think based on what I've heard that this might be good. So yeah. Okay. So give us some background. How long have you been doing what you're doing, and where did you start and all that good stuff?
Yeah, so I've been a lawyer for about like over 6 years, I guess now. I started at a couple different nonprofits, and then I went to the private firm that I was at for a couple of years, doing mostly different types of litigation, and working with businesses and going to court every day also. So, which I was not really a big fan of.
Yeah, no. I bet
Uh,
not.
yeah. So, over the summer, actually during COVID, is when I decided to open my own virtual practice instead, because it just made sense for me, especially since I wasn't really working in a way that I wanted to. Like, I didn't want to be going to court every day. And especially also because of COVID, virtual kind of just like makes more sense.
Absolutely.
And now I'm also doing trademarks, which are federal. I can help anyone regardless of if they're in my state or not. So it really just having a virtual practice made a lot more sense, because, sometimes the law, you kind of have to have a like set up place because your clients are close by.
And yeah.
But for like this kind of thing, you don't need that. So that is why I just decided to start doing, go out on my own and do this.
Awesome. So, guys, if you're here, pop in the comments and let us know you're here so we'll know who's watching. I have my phone set up so if you haven't allowed StreamYard to view your data, I'll still know who's talking. I finally figured out how to do all of this, so it's taking me a little while. But yeah, please pop in the comments, and I'd love to know how everyone has themselves set up. Like, tell us how your company's set up and what you do. So yeah, give us some ideas. Give us some flow. Someone waves. Ah, Rachel. It's Rachel. Rachel's my client. Rachel's amazing.
Oh,
Okay, so let's say okay, Michelle has an LLC. So you with LLCs, you also can elect to operate as different types of entities within that what do you call it, classification.
yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, like for taxes, everything you can elect. This also depends whether you're a single member LLC or, you know, with other people in your
Right.
business. So that is also going to depend how you actually get taxed, how you act. Just really, it's just based on how many people are in your LLC or not. So probably most online business owners for at least the majority that I've encountered are single member LLCs because they've just filed it as themselves. So basically that is like a tax status that you're choosing when you are basically getting your EIN number with the IRS and everything. So that way you're set up that way. And there's also all different like additional tax types of things that you can do with your business. Like, you know, a lot of people you might hear like S corp filing, which is like also different um, taxes, but that it doesn't always necessarily mean that it'll benefit you the same way that you hear it benefit someone else. So that's why it's best to go to someone who like specializes in tax
Right.
with that to figure it out if it's something that can, you know, help you or not. Also, S Corp isn't really like a different business entity. It's more of like a tax filing. So a lot of people think like, oh, I'll be an S Corp like them. I'll have liability protection, but it's not the same. So really whenever you're deciding what type of entity to become or what to do, that's why it's really important to talk to someone that knows what they're doing. That way they can help you. And also who knows what state requirements your state might have, because some states are different and there might be certain reasons to do something, like to file as something different based on different states. Like I'm not in California, but I know California has like franchise taxes. I think some
Yes.
other states do also.
Mhm.
So that I know definitely has a bearing on what someone might recommend to you as to like what type of business entity to file. Because I think it's, you know, at least in California, it's going to be more expensive to be an LLC than it is like in New York to be an LLC. So that's also a consideration.
Yeah. So can you operate? You have to be licensed in the different states to help people set up their entities. Is that the case?
Yes, so I wouldn't directly help anyone with their entity unless they are in either New York or Tennessee, where I'm licensed in. Um, and so, but mostly I try to tell people as much as they can, either to kind of like either go to a tax person or someone who does it, or a type of like company that helps you file or to do it yourself on your Secretary of State website.
Yeah.
Now, I think almost all states have like an online filing, at least for like LLC.
Okay.
So I've heard that it's like easier than it used to be. And also I know that like, I mean, I don't personally do them just because I people should like put their money towards like contracts or trademarks
Yeah.
instead of like this. So that's why I try to tell people use other
You
apps.
would do that on your own so you can save your money to invest in other areas. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the trademark thing, did you say you could help people with trademarks in all states? Is that
Yeah.
right?
Because
Okay.
so there are state trademarks that you could have, but most people really don't file a state trademark because it's just not that beneficial to be covered in your state, especially when we're doing businesses online and stuff
Okay.
now. So most people choose to file with the USPTO, United States Patent and Trademark Office. And since that's federal, falls under federal law, since it's a federal through the federal government, I can help anyone. You just have to be an attorney licensed in at least one state. So then I can have clients regardless of wherever they
Gotcha.
are.
What's the benefit of trademarking something, and what types of things would we consider trademarking?
So what you would think about trademarking is basically anything that identifies your brand. So either your business name, your logo, your like slogan or line some people use, or even like a course name or product name. Like some people, if they have their own lashes for like in the beauty industry, their
Mhm.
that product line is something they might trademark. And then also in like the online industry, if you have like a business coaching like course or something, people could trademark the name of your course. And the reason why you would do this is that way you have ownership over that name because people think that like when they file for their LLC or something, they get ownership of that name, but it's really just like a license to use that name for business in your state. Um, but 49 other people could use the same exact name in all the other
All the
states.
other states. Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah,
Okay.
so trademarking gives you actual ownership of that name. That way, no one else can use it in the same industry in the United States. And that's really, especially now with everyone's growing online,
Yes.
it doesn't really help if 49 other people have the same name as you in other states. And even in your own state with LLCs, people can still have very similar names.
Mhm.
Um, I think there's like I'm Kelly Jones Law PLLC, and I'm pretty sure there's like Jones Law, Jones Legal, Jones Law, whatever. Like
Right.
a lot is similar, but with trademark, even something that is similar like that, a name that's like that similar is not gonna be allowed to be trademarked because it's gonna be too confusingly similar. Basically, the standard is if it could confuse consumers in the marketplace, it's not
Mhm.
gonna be allowed. But if it's in the same type of industry, you're not gonna be able to trademark it if someone
Okay.
already has a similar name.
Gotcha. What does it cost to trademark something? Like just
Um, So the filing fees right now go by class that you're trademarking in, and right now they're 275, but January 2nd they're actually going up to 350.
oh
And this
wow.
is yeah, and this is per class. So let's say you have like a business that you're like selling various things like clothing and like some type of like downloadable something that's in
Mhm.
separate classes. So that's two filing. And someone could have multiple filing fees or just one. Um, so yeah.
Okay, so say for example with me, I have Better Indeed Group is the name of my company.
hmm
Also use the tag the bookkeeping headache doctor, and I have my logo.
hmm
Would I have to file each one of those separately, or can they all be done together?
Yeah, so those would all be three separate things.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and the way like I would definitely tell people like a logo is definitely like less of a priority than a name just because it's not as likely that someone will have something so similar that well, for most logos that you'll want protect from someone else copying it. Whereas like the name of your company is like, probably more of a higher
Yeah.
priority. So that kind of like breaks it up for people that do have a lot that can't, spend all this money to trademark everything all at once.
Right, gotcha. Yeah, exactly. Because I'm like, ooh, well, that's a lot all at one time. And that doesn't even include attorney fees for helping you get it filed, though, right?
Right.
That's just the filing fee.
Yeah. So for like attorney fees, the way most of us do it is we split it up into two separate flat fee categories. So the first one being the search, which is basically like a comprehensive search of all names that are the same or similar to yours. That way we can identify ahead of time before filing if there's like basically the risk level of doing the application, because it's names that not just are the same as yours, but even if it's just something similar, and it could even be something like spelt different or, a little variation. So that's why the search really helps like figure out so you don't waste your money. Like definitely not gonna be able to get filed. So
Yeah.
that part is probably going to be like anywhere between 400 and 1,000. And then the second part, once like the search and you're like, okay, you're good to go, then that part is probably going to be another like 500 to 1,000, depending on who you use. And they might include filing fees with that or have them on top of it. Really, everyone's kind of different with that.
Gotcha. Yeah. So you're looking at roughly 2 grand to get one item trademarked. Okay.
Yeah.
Gives me an idea because it's something I probably need to deal with at some point.
Mhm.
And there may be others here too. Okay. So Michelle does online coaching and she has an LLC. Rachel is e-commerce and she has also an LLC, I believe. And so far, that's the only ones who have commented. Michelle, remind me what type of coaching you do, please. I'm sorry if I can't recall. But if you're still here, remind me what type of coaching that you do. So we kind of get an idea and maybe use her an example, maybe.
Yeah.
So what other things do you think, contracts you say are very important?
Yes. Yes.
Why can't, and being devil's advocate, why can't we just download a contract from one of these, I was about to say stupid, one of these little sites that already have the pre-written up contract? Why can't we do that?
So you can, but it might not fully protect you in the way that you want it to protect you. Um, all businesses are different and they're going to need different things, especially like online businesses. You're going to need a little bit different wording, different intellectual property clauses that might not be in there. And often some of them that I've seen, because I do look and like download the free ones just to like, read them and see what's on there. And I do see sometimes some things are missing. Like, so some of it is a good like starting point.
Mm-hmm.
So of something that maybe you want to work on and bring to a lawyer to like look at some point. But certain things are missing from some of them. Like some of them don't have like governing law clauses. So there's nothing in it that governs like if a dispute happens and someone sue or go to arbitration or something, that's not in there. And that's like kind of a standard thing to go in contract. So you decide usually the person who gives out the contract to the other person puts in their state basically. So if
Mm-hmm.
if a dispute arises, you can sue in New York only or whatever. So this is an issue when it comes to people working far from each other,
Mm-hmm.
because you could end up then fighting over even where the dispute will be. And we all like to think that like nothing bad will ever happen and hope that, but
But you
sometimes,
never know.
yeah, exactly.
You never know.
And you never know down the road what could happen. So you just want to be careful. And having a contract that is for your type of business is going to protect you a lot more because the person drafting it had like your type of business in mind. So they thought of all like the what if scenarios of things
Right.
that could go wrong for you.
Gotcha. So if we were to have, if we had a contract that we'd pulled from offline and we wanted to have you or somebody review it, what does something like that cost?
Um, you know, I don't really do that often. I would probably charge like maybe just like an hour, I guess, of my time, depending on the contract. Which so it'd probably be somewhere between like 275 to 325 ish, which is
Okay.
kind of also why I say like the contract templates are kind of worth it. Like either in my shop or any of the other online lawyers who draft them for like online businesses or like
Mhm.
service-based businesses, or whatever type of business you are,
Yeah, yeah.
because like my like client contract, for example, um, I don't remember. I think it's priced like 400 or something. So, and that's, a one-time fee. So that it kind of like isn't that much different of a price. And at least you already have a starting point and you already have like an instruction booklet that explains each section to you so you know what's
Yeah.
in it. So you're getting more with the templates. And then also if it's like an independent contractor agreement that you have, because like you're in a business where you use that or you're the contractor for other people, like if you're social media manager, Pinterest manager, something like that, and you're buying an independent contractor template, that is like, I don't know, I don't remember what I have it at. I think it's like 250 or something. So
Just
that's
ideas. Yeah.
cheaper.
Right.
Um, so yeah, a lot of times, especially if you like look out for sales, which, Black Friday, buying templates is kind of probably just going to be cheaper than having an attorney look at it. And also, I don't really like to look at contracts and like give advice unless they're in my state. So that kind of limits
Yeah.
you because then you have to go and look for someone in your state and, like hope you hear something about them that you like get a referral or something from
Right.
them and know that they work with your type of business. So that's why templates are just like a little bit easier of a way.
Go- Gotcha. Okay, so I want to go back real quick to the LLC because most of us think that that's the way to go. We've talked about that. What is it about the LLC that protects you? How does it protect you as an individual?
So it's basically protecting you by separating your business and your personal assets. And that is something that as a business owner, you definitely want, especially thinking of the future. Like when you're starting a business, you might not have that many assets, so you might not think it's like that necessary, but you have to think long term of where you want to be, and where we want to all be is probably like, having a lot of more assets than we
Of
have.
course. Of
So
course.
thinking with that type of mindset, you're going to want to have that be protected, even future assets protected from anything that could happen, so that when you get your LLC, you're running everything separately as long as you're acting like your LLC, because you can have an LLC and then still use everything through your personal accounts, and
Preach,
then
girl, preach.
that's not how you go. So
Yes.
once you get your LLC, you have to make sure that you actually treat it as an LLC and have that separate bank account and keep everything separate,
Yeah.
your profits, your expenses separately. But if you're doing that, then that'll give you the protection from, just anything that could happen, any dispute, any type of liability that happens in the future. You don't want that person to be able to have access to your
Personal,
personal
yeah.
assets. So
Yeah.
that's why the LLC is probably the most used, especially for like online business owners,
Yeah.
that don't have a big corporation or something. The
Right.
LLC is just it makes most sense.
Yeah. So any type of industry where you're at risk for any liability in any way, shape, or form, you likely, and I know we can't be specific about it, but you likely should consider an LLC. But consult your tax advisor as well as your legal counsel.
Yes,
Disclaimers,
definitely.
disclaimers, disclaimers, disclaimers.
Always.
If you guys are watching, I know we still have a couple of people watching. I see. Yeah, pop questions in the comments. I want to make sure we absolutely glean everything we can from this time with Kelli. Is there something else that we should talk about?
Um, I mean, those are definitely the three main areas to make sure you're legally protecting yourself in your business. And really, areas that are kind of important to do sooner or later, sooner rather than later. Not as much with like trademarking, you can wait on if you want. That kind of depends on a bunch of different things. But as far as like your LLC and your contracts, those are things that you're want to get early in your business, or at least discuss with someone about getting them
Yeah,
early on in your business.
got it. Okay. Anybody have any questions? All right. So Kelli is a member of our group, guys, and we are all here for each other. So if you have any questions at all at any point, just tag her.
Yeah,
Tag her and see what you
definitely.
can get out of her. Maybe she can help you a little bit or at least point you in the right direction.
Yes.
Kelli,
And if you do need contracts, mine for Black Friday only, well, like starting now, I guess, through Black Friday, are 50% off, which is definitely a big
awesome.
sale.
Okay,
So
so we need you to put your link or whatever to that in the comments
I
so
will.
you know where to find that. That is very nice. That's awesome. Okay. I've got nothing over here. I've got nothing over here. So I don't suppose if anybody watches the replay, hashtag replay, you know the drill. If you have any questions or comments at that point, feel free to post them in the comments for Kelli, and we will get you some answers.
Definitely.
Yeah, Kelli, I really appreciate your time. This was really good. I definitely want. I need the push towards the trademarking thing.
Yeah.
Not quite ready, but I'll be there very soon. All right, love. Have a good evening.
Chill.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.